For decades, millions of Americans lived their daily lives without knowing that just beyond their cities, hidden behind trees and fences, entire towns existed for one purpose only: war. These were not normal towns. There were no tourists, no signs on highways, no mention on maps. And then, almost overnight, they were abandoned. This is the story of America's secret military towns and how they quietly vanished. During the early years of the Cold War, the United States was living under constant fear. Tensions with the Soviet Union were rising, and the threat of a nuclear attack felt very real. Military planners believed that if an enemy missile were launched, American cities would have only minutes to respond. To protect the nation, a massive defense system was created in secret. It was called the Nike Missile Program. Beginning in the 1950s, the U.S. military built hundreds of missile sites across the country. These sites were placed in rings around major cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. From the air, they looked like quiet patches of land, but underground, they were armed and ready. Each Nike missile site was more than just a launch pad. It was part of a small, hidden town. Soldiers lived there year-round. Many brought their families. There were barracks, kitchens, power stations, radar towers, and underground bunkers built deep into the earth. Some of the missiles stored at these sites were even equipped with nuclear warheads, intended to destroy incoming enemy missiles high in the sky. Secrecy was absolute. The soldiers stationed there were ordered not to talk about their work. Children growing up in nearby neighborhoods often had no idea that nuclear weapons were hidden just miles from their homes. Even local governments were sometimes kept in the dark. Life inside these military towns followed strict routines. Radar operators monitored the skies day and night. Missile crews trained constantly, practicing launch procedures again and again. At any moment, an alarm could sound, and within minutes, a missile could be fired. Yet outside the fences, life appeared normal. Cities grew. Highways expanded. Suburbs spread closer and closer to these hidden bases, unaware of what lay beneath the ground. For years, the system remained active. But by the late 1960s and early 1970s, everything began to change. Military technology was advancing rapidly. New intercontinental ballistic missiles made the Nike system less effective. Maintaining hundreds of missile sites became expensive and unnecessary. Quietly, the decision was made to shut them down. There were no announcements, no public ceremonies, no headlines. One by one, the Nike missile sites were deactivated. Missiles were removed. Radar systems were dismantled. Soldiers were reassigned. Families packed their belongings and left. Gates were locked, and fences were left to rust. Entire military towns were abandoned in silence. In many places, nature began to reclaim the land almost immediately. Roads cracked, buildings decayed, trees grew through concrete, underground bunkers filled with water and darkness. Some sites were demolished completely, erased from the landscape. Others were simply left behind, frozen in time. For years, the public knew almost nothing about them. Only decades later, as Cold War documents were declassified, did the full scale of the program become clear. Americans discovered that for years, nuclear missiles had been stationed near their homes, guarded by soldiers living in towns that officially never existed. Today, a few former Nike missile sites have been preserved as museums. Visitors can walk through underground bunkers and stand where missiles once waited for launch orders. But many sites remain forgotten, hidden in forests, buried beneath new developments, locked behind old fences with no signs. They are reminders of a time when fear shaped entire communities and then erased them. The soldiers who lived in these towns eventually returned to civilian life. Their children grew up and moved on. The towns they once called home disappeared, leaving behind only concrete, rust, and silence. History rarely records the places that were built to be temporary, but these military towns played a critical role in one of the most dangerous periods in human history. They stood ready, day and night, prepared for a war that never came, and when they were no longer needed, they vanished, quietly, completely, and almost without a trace.